stark message from Ukraine's Prime Minister. He says Russia wants to start World War III.
It's clear that Russia's goal is firstly to wreck the elections in Ukraine so it won't have a legally elected president. Secondly, to remove the pro-Western and pro-Ukrainian government. And thirdly, to occupy Ukraine militarily as well as politically.
It was calm in the eastern Ukrainian town of Slavyansk after the recent clashes. But both Ukraine and Russia have been holding military exercises close to the border. The United States has added to the chorus of criticism of Russia. President Obama is expected to speak to several European leaders to try to nudge the EU towards fresh sanctions against Russia. Washington's grown impatient with what it describes as Moscow's failure to stick to the commitments made in Geneva in mid-April to de-escalate the situation in Ukraine. The longer the crisis continues, the more it hurts Russia's economy, says Patrick Armstrong from Armstrong Investment Managers.
This crisis still has a way to go, and I think there's going to be bigger implications. Russia's actually probably struggling already in funding Crimea. There's talking about the billions they promised there in infrastructure. That's going to have to be creatively accounted for given the other issues they have. So this isn't going to end very quickly and cleanly, I don't think. I think sanctions will happen for... It's hard to tell the extent of the sanctions, but I think this is something to worry about, and I think energy prices is probably the main concern for Europe.
Ratings agency Standard & Poor's is also concerned. It cut Russia's foreign currency ratings and said further downgrades were possible if there are more sanctions. This was the first major downgrade since Russia seized Crimea in March. Moscow called the move politically motivated, which S&P denies. Christian Estes from S&P says there were substantial capital outflows in the first 3 months of the year due to geopolitical tensions.
More than $50 billion US. By comparison, the average annual outflows over the past 5 years or so were $57 billion per year.
Russia's anticipating more economic turbulence. Its central bank unexpectedly raised its key lending rate due to inflationary risks linked to the weakening ruble. It already raised rates in March in response to the financial instability linked to the Ukraine crisis. Russia's already suffering a severe economic slowdown. Fresh Western sanctions may make the central bank and the government's job even harder.